Masterclass is in session. Sit down. Lads, I have done it. I have cracked the code. You no longer have to ask your dusty roommates to help you film a self-tape ever again.
Wow.
That is right. I have found a method that is going to enable you to film your self-tapes by yourself. I am proof that this method works. Here's a self-tape I did where I got the job using this method, and another one where I got a recall, and another one where I got a recall. Here is how you can film a self-tape on your own in just 3 easy steps. There's actually 9 steps. Also, there is a summary of these steps at the very end, but don't skip ahead. I see you. If you don't know who I am, hi! My name is Severine. I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm a director, I'm also a photographer. I've got a career that's about 4 years long so far, and I am really passionate about helping you understand all that there is to know about this mysterious industry. So, if you are an actor or a creative person and you want to know all the behind the scenes, make sure that you subscribe. Hit the bell notification so that you get notified every single time that I upload. Quick disclaimer, I do not think that this method is a better way to film your self-tapes. However, I do think it is a very efficient way of getting your self-tapes done, especially when a lot of us do not live with actors and we have to ask people who don't really understand the kind of work that we do to help us. This is just a great way to help you guys out. The scene that we're going to be using as an example for today's class is a scene from Bridgerton. We all know it well enough and it is perfect to use as an example for this kind of method. I've put a link in the description for you to download the sites that we're going to be using, or you can screenshot it now. Got it? Very good, very good. Carrying on, here is what you will need to make this method work. Number 1, you will need a laptop, one that is separate to the recording device which you will be using to film your self-tapes. You can absolutely use a PC to make this work if the PC is in the same room that you're going to be doing your tapes in, but in my case, my laptop is movable, so I'm going to be using that. You will also need a surface to put your laptop on, somewhere where it is out of sight of your actual frame. If you don't know what I mean by frame, I mean the actual picture that the casting directors will be seeing. And you can learn more about that by clicking on this video right up here, which is my 28-minute long masterclass all about how to film a self-tape. If you haven't watched it already, I highly suggest that you do, because it will probably answer all of the questions that you have about self-taping. In my case, the surface which I'm going to be using is the little bar stool in my kitchen, or I also have a little laptop stand which I bought when I started doing more Zoom meetings at home, and this has been so useful for me. You can get them on Amazon, and if you have not got one of these, I highly suggest that you do. They are a great investment if you work a lot from home. You will also need a tripod to film your actual tapes. If you are not using a tripod, you can also use books stacked up on top of each other. And finally, you will need your lights, which you should have bought after you watched my self-tape masterclass. If you haven't got them, there is a link in the description for very similar ones. And if you are not using these lights, you can absolutely use natural light. Just make sure that you are in a room where there is no direct light glaring on your skin, and then you should be good to go. Now let's talk about the actual method, how to film your self-tapes by yourself. Step number 1. Download Audacity. It is a free recording software and it is brilliant. It enables you to do really basic MP3 recordings on your laptop. Download it. Obviously, you can use higher tech software like Logic to do this, but Audacity works perfectly fine. It is free. Go download it. Step number 2. Record all of the lines in the scene, yours and your partner's. All of it, okay? Not the stage directions, you don't need to do that, but you want to record everything else. Now in this particular scene, I have the first line. So to help with that, I gave myself a click right at the beginning, which I will then silence in post, and that enables me to have a couple of beats when I actually film it to settle in and make sure that I'm keeping in time with the whole recording. You do not need an external microphone to do this. If you want to, you can use one, but I have found that the built-in microphone on my laptop works perfectly fine. Step number 3, highlight all of your lines because we are going to silence them. Not delete them, silence them.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
Silence them, keep quiet, zip it, mute them. To do this, you are going to play your recording from the beginning and pay really close attention to where your line begins and where it ends. You're going to click and drag to highlight it and then go to generate silence. A little window will pop up confirming the amount of time that you want to silence it for. You simply confirm this and you will find that you have now got a recording with the other person's lines, then a gap for where your line will be, and then the other person's lines will continue. And you're going to do this throughout the entire scene. And what you should find is you will then have a clean recording with just the other person's lines, with enough space to deliver your line in between. You want our plan to succeed, do you not?
The purpose of this arrangement is to keep the marriage-minded mothers of the Ton at bay.
Okay, cool, so that's working. And this is why it is so much better to record all of the script in its entirety at the beginning and then go through and mute them, instead of just leaving a gap for where you think your lines will be. Guys, I'm telling you, as people, we tend to read things quicker in our heads, so the timing is usually slightly off when you just guess where the gap will be. Whereas actually recording it and then muting your lines means that the timing and the rhythm is accurate to how you deliver the scene in your real speaking voice. Now, that can be a little bit of a downfall because you don't really want to stay in a rigid rhythm whenever you're doing a self-tape, right? You want to allow yourself flexibility to move and to take notes. However, for a self-tape, it is perfectly okay to have a little bit of a rhythm, to have a little bit of a rhythm, to have a little bit of a For a self-tape, it is perfectly okay to have a little bit of a rhythm so long as you are not staying too stuck in it. And don't worry, we're going to break out of it in the next step. Step number 4, adjust the pauses. Now this is very important because wait, what if when you are doing the scene, you notice this happens?
I plan to succeed, do you? No! It cut me off.
Or this happens.
Do you not?
That was late. It is the most infuriating thing in the world when you are working with a recording and getting cut off or cut under by yourself. Don't worry, you can extend the pauses by highlighting a section of silence and copying and pasting it, and you can shorten the pauses by highlighting a section of silence and deleting it. Don't do this on the actual person's lines, just do it with the silences in between, because otherwise you're going to be messing with the flow. Now you might want to experiment with this because how much you actually need to highlight and delete will depend on the size of your monitor or how zoomed in your timeline is on your actual screen. So just experiment with it, but don't worry, if you make a mistake, you can just press Command Z to delete.
Wait a damn minute.
Am I American? Command Z to undo something that you just did. You can hold down on a Mac, Shift Command Z to redo it. Step number 5, we're gonna change the pitch. This is where it gets interesting, right? Because at the moment, your recording is just gonna sound like another version of you, which can be a little bit distracting. That split second where the cast and directors clock, oh, she's using another recording of herself, is a split second where they're not paying attention to you and your brilliant performance. So we can slightly play a trick on the mind by making the voice sound different to your own. So here's how I do that. I will press Command A or Control A if you are using Windows to highlight everything, and I will go to Effect, change pitch, and just bring the pitch down ever so slightly. And I swear to you, when you play it back, unless you are really listening, it's very hard to tell that it is you in the recording. These are the settings which my pitch gets changed to every time I do this method, but you can adjust it to your laptop and your liking. Now, I always bring it down. If I were to bring it up, it's gonna... Whereas if I bring it down, it just sounds a little bit more realistic. So now if I'm gonna practice it with it. 8 balls.
No.
8 balls. You want our plan to succeed, do you not?
The purpose of this arrangement is to keep the marriage-minded mothers of the Ton at bay, not hurl myself directly into the lion's den. I shall grant you 4.
That shall barely see us through the... Also, quick note here, I will always bring the pitch down no matter what the gender of the other person is. I'm not just bringing it down because we are using a scene with a male partner. I will always bring it down regardless of what the gender of the other person is. Step number 6, make any final adjustments to the pauses, increase or decrease as necessary, and practice with it a few times. Step number 7, set it up on the side of you so that it is out of frame. And step number 8, it is time to film your self-tape. When you are recording your tape, you're going to press record on your phone or your camera first. Don't worry, you can shorten out any pauses of you getting ready when you are editing it afterwards. I will then press play on my laptop, which is next to me, have it turned down at a reasonable level so that I can hear it, but it's not louder than me, and I will let the recording play. And I swear to you, if you've done the adjustments correctly and you've changed the pitch well enough so that it still sounds realistic, it will sound like another person and the timing will fit exactly as you need it to. Now, after doing it a couple of times, I might notice that I actually want a bit of a bigger pause for this line because I want to extend that beat, or I want a shorter pause for this line because the scene's getting really intense and we're chopping and chapping over each other and I just want it to pick up the pace a bit. So in that case, after a couple of takes, I will go in and I will make further adjustments as necessary. Again, tiny little tweaks. It might seem tedious, but this extra step can really level up the quality of your tapes for sure. With all of that said and done, here is a version of what the scene could be looking like. Enjoy, guys.
8 balls.
No.
8 balls. You want our plan to succeed, do you not?
The purpose of this arrangement is to keep the marriage-minded mothers of the Ton at bay, not hurl myself directly into the lion's den. I shall grant you 4.
That shall barely see us through the week, your grace.
More than enough time to ensnare yourself a husband, I rather think.
Whilst I am certain that you are used to forming short-term attachments, polite society prefers a slightly longer courting period. And anyway, we have yet to see if this ruse will succeed in achieving any callers for me at all. So... 6 balls. 6. And you must send flowers today. Expensive ones. You know, if you were truly courting me, you would buy out every florist in town. So.
If I were truly courting you, I would not need flowers. Only 5 minutes alone with you in a drawing room. I did not mean...
6 balls, your grace.
Very well. Now I shall see about the flowers.
And you must remember, no one can know about our little arrangement, nor about what happened last night with Nigel Burbrook.
Yes. How is your hand this morning? You must know you did nothing wrong.
What I know is that even the rumour of my being alone with a man, let alone punching him, will ruin me.
I have no interest in causing a scandal, Miss Bridgerton.
Well, I should imagine with you, it comes naturally.
Obviously, that is just my version. You do whatever you want with the scene, and I'd be really excited to hear about some of the choices which you guys made. And before I go, I actually got a question from one of my lovely subscribers, Lara. She asked if it is really difficult to still convey the truth of the scene when you know that you're using a recording of yourself. This is a really great question. In all honesty, I have been able to surprise myself. It takes a lot of practice to get it to a pace where you're comfortable, if that makes sense. Ideally, I would have a brilliant actor at my disposal every single time that I have a self-tape to do, and I've got amazing friends and family who can help me in that regard. But as we all know, it's just not always the case, especially during this pandemic when Omicron Ofcom variant is running rampage. I've just found that this is a very, very useful method and a way for me to get my tapes done really quickly. Honestly, it takes practice. I do not think that this is a perfect way to be doing your tapes every single time, but it is definitely a way that has helped me. And sometimes you might surprise yourself. I certainly have surprised myself at how much truth I'm able to convey knowing it's a recording. Practice and see how you go. I hope that answers your question, and I really hope that helps. And for those of you who skipped to the very end instead of watching the whole video and making notes like every other good student, here is a quick summarized version of the steps which you need to take to film your self-tapes by yourself. Step number 1, download Audacity. Step number 2, record all of your lines in the scene, yours and your partner's. Step number 3, highlight your lines and go to generate silence to mute them. Step number 4, highlight everything and go to effect, change pitch and bring the pitch down ever so slightly to make the other character's lines sound like it's another person reading with you. Step number 5, adjust the pauses in between. Step number 6, set up your laptop on the side of you so it's not in the frame. Step number 7, record your self-tape. And step number 8, you're gonna book the job. Book the job, honey, book the job. Yeah, love to see it. I love to see it. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Make sure you leave a comment to let me know how you get on with this method. And I'ma see y'all in the next one. Bye. Let's face it, Omarian Ofcom variant has got everybody in a chokehold right now. This method is very useful to help us avoid the chokehold, which it has us in, because some of us don't want to step outside because it's impossible to not catch this variant if you step outside.